The next one up is on ferry services, solutions to improve service levels. I think there is a PowerPoint. I'd like to invite Mark Lambert up once again and Derek Coper, the Group Manager for Metro Services. Welcome, Derek and Mark again. And over to you for the item on the ferry services.
Thank you, Chair. Conscious of time, I suggest we fly through the presentation very quickly. We've only got about 4 slides. It summarises the report, which we'll take as read, and then go straight to questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mark. So, Mr. Chair and Councillors, just a quick update. Recent performance across ferry services shows a very strong recovery, and the slide shows how we're tracking since the lockdown ended. And ferries now have exceeded the pre-COVID patronage levels. For week ending 13th of March, we achieved just under 68,000 ferry boardings on 80 contracted ferry services. That excludes the Waiheke Island exempt services. For the month of February, punctuality was at 88.6%, and reliability, as we measure through our contracts, at 94.3%, with 9.9 sailing services cancelled during that last month. In terms of our Auckland Ferry network, we are investing and working through private-public partnerships with our ferry operators and working on 980 contracted ferry services operated by Bellier Ferries, Fullers 360 and SeaLink. Of those contracted services, 29 vessels are of varying age and design, and obviously different age. And the vessel ownership model is changing to 80 council ownership, same to our rail model. The transition to low emission ferries is underway with 3 standard vessel specifications. And we are implementing the approved ferry service procurement strategy with long-term contracts with partnering principals. Under those contracts, 80 sets the timetables and fees, as well as retains the fare box. We're working with commercial partners who operate services. They are responsible for maintaining vessels, provide crew, and arrange alternative transport during disruptions. Customer experience is managed jointly between Auckland Transport and the operators. And exempt services operated to Waiheke Island and Great Barrier Island, obviously outside of our immediate control and contracts. In terms of investment in fleet and infrastructure, we are renewing fleet and improving customer experience. The aging ferry fleet and infrastructure includes 16 vessels that are towards reaching their retirement age, and we do have some challenges with wharf capacity. We are changing our capital investment in ferry services, making step change in ferry services with fleet replacement and wharf upgrades by Auckland Transport. We have 2 new electric and 5 hybrid electric vessels underway, under construction and committed. And 4 existing diesel ferries have been purchased last year in July to extend their working life. There is an ongoing continuous service improvement with activities where we are working with our industry to enhance disruption communications for our customers. IT mobile app is being upgraded to show live ferry tracking. We are working with industry and central government to recruit crew and overcome barriers experienced across the industry. A current crew shortage makes it challenging to deploy backup vessels, particularly if there are mechanical issues, for example, on some of those. Operators are focused on recruitment, and we currently are aware of 6 international skippers being recruited and working through immigration process. We are working with the government, liaising through Waka Kotahi on immigration settings and changing or enabling some visa rules for our skilled maritime crew to be able to work as they come into the country. We are obviously working with the industry on who is upskilling crew, being priority for them, with training and development programs underway. Some of those achieved something like 600 certifications in the last 12 months, with 25 promotions internally. So this is just a quick update in terms of where we are overall with investment in ferry services and development work to improve it. And we're happy to take questions.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Derek. I found it actually a really informative report, and if hopefully people have had a chance to read the various sections here, going to the service enhancements, the private sector operator engagement, the ageing fleet, the update on addressing staffing levels, and communication. So, if you don't mind, Derek, I will pick up a number of these items with you offline. It's I found it really useful, so that's what I plan to do. Is there anyone got any questions from any of the other councillors? Councillor Darby?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for bringing this paper, Chair, and thanks to Mark and Derek. It's been quite a challenge. I found myself in a queue and actually not boarding the boat because I knew if I boarded the boat, there'd be 50 behind me that would not be on the boat. And I prefer to be in that lot rather than being the councillor that got on board. There's been a major issue. And I know you know that, I've been conveying that. I know it's no easy fix. But I think we've got 3 passenger ferry companies contracted. There's Belair, Sealink and Fuller's. Can you tell me, do the performance issues reside with all 3 or do they reside with one?
I'll take this question. So 3 operators run services, 2 run small contracts with small vessels across obviously a lot smaller timetable. Therefore, they have they have better reliability and punctuality stats comparing to the biggest operator, which operates across 6 contracts and complex and quite high frequency corridors. Okay,
but those other companies, Sealink and Belair, they have a full complement of staff. I've never heard any suggestion that they're struggling for staff, whereas the staffing issues, they reside with Fuller's only and have only ever resided with Fuller's, to my knowledge. Is that correct?
It's not quite correct. The industry is having the same challenges. The smaller operators have less requirements, but they're working through a number of initiatives to make their roles more attractive, and they all competing for the same reasons in the small industry.
Okay. Just 2 more quick questions, Chair, if I may. So just in terms of Auckland Transport, now that we've taken over the Devonport run, Waihiki's still outside as an exempt service. Everything else is under contract. So the responsibility now sits with Auckland Transport. Everybody knows now, well, Auckland Transport's in charge. So we're in charge as governors. We're responsible. So in terms of communication, I'm troubled by getting messages that say, due to infrastructure issues or due to mechanical issues, the passenger doesn't get a sense of what is actually going on here. How are we nuancing the messaging so that it actually means something to the customer? Because up until last week, I was still looking at that. The other part of that question is, how are we training our transport officers, in addition to Fuller's staff, at gates to actually inform people of what's going on, to open both exit gates rather than one, to take the hood off the 3rd hop reader to get fast flows, because these are basic issues which I see week after week after week, and they're not being resolved. And I'm a layperson in this. I'm a customer, and I go, why is this customer and all the other thousands of customers not being treated right here? Why are we not being communicated with? So a sense of frustration there, but I'm pretty much at wit's end on this.
Thank you. Through the chair, we are working through a process to improve communications to customers, and we have made some progress in the last few weeks. We have commenced a transition to a vessel tracking that feeds into live information through our systems. We are currently working with 2 operators to complete that process. There is work underway to provide better integration or feed into information from the operator into our customer-facing systems. We already have an automation between the operator and our public information displays, and we've made improvements to PA announcements. But the notifications through our AT mobile app is working through a transition, and we just working on minor enhancements or upgrades to our app in order to get the feeds and information both from the vessels and the operators. I'll be happy to take it offline and work through some of the details, Councillor.
Yeah, I think that we need to work on that a lot more. And lastly, Chair, if you don't mind, the refurb program, we've acquired 4 vessels. Wanderer is now refurbed. It's in sea trials and it'll be introduced on Devonport Off-Peak and a couple of others. I was a bit surprised to read that the Wanderer has no additional bike storage, and we're leaving people at the wharf repeatedly in the AM and PM peak if they have a bike, because we don't have enough bike storage. I thought, Mark, I asked this question some time ago, and the refurb program was going to look at the rearrangement of bike storage using hanging systems, possibly for light bikes, better storage. And I'm a bit worried that we're going to go through this refurb program and we're not going to see additional bike storage. There's a lot of cyclists heading to Great North Road, as you know. So what have we got planned there?
Through the Chair, I'll take this question, Councillor Darby. The scope of the first vessel, when it was defined, looked at options to increase bike storage inside the cabin. At this stage, we are working through a process with an operator to ensure that we're not introducing a safety and operational risks. As a PCBO operator also has some responsibilities. We are working through that process. At this stage, there is no additional bike storage installed inside the vessel for safety and operation concerns. And we're working through it with the operator, and we will know before April whether there is an opportunity to introduce more storage on that vessel. However, every other vessel is of different design, and we're working through a process to include this in the scope of refurbishment.
Okay, so that's some work we need to look at, because we've got a problem. We are leaving a lot of cyclists at the wharf at the moment, and I don't see that being solved until the electric vessels arrive, which I understand which have big increases in cycle storage, but even then may not be enough. I'll leave it there, Chair. I appreciate you bringing this to the agenda. But we can't leave it here. We've got some very big issues in the ferry area. We are failing badly in the provision of reliable ferry services, and a lot of people are reverting to driving. And it takes 5 years to build that customer, and we've lost them, very, very quickly. But again, we are seeing good, strong ferry patronage, but it could be even vastly improved.
Okay, so I think Councillor Darby has quite correctly signalled that the ferry is obviously going to be an ongoing concern for this committee. Again, thank you, Derek, for that report. It was very helpful. I won't echo a number of the concerns that Councillor Darby and no doubt Councillor Lee and Walker would bring up. So we will keep this dialogue going, and I'll certainly be picking up a number of these items here offline, but thanks for your presentation. So Councillor Walker apparently happy to move. Do we have someone happy to second? Councillor Turner gets on the score sheet. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. So thank you, gentlemen. Got a couple of items, or a few items to go. Some of them are just sort of procedural. Hopefully we can get through them reasonably quickly, or I'll be missing the Gulf Harbour ferry, and I don't particularly want to do that. It's a long walk up to Whangaparoa. No, I'd rather walk, thanks. Wait, just joking, of course. I'll rely on Councillor Walker to get me home. Okay, so we're up to